It is another beautiful day out here in Maryland. And the 86 might be leaving today. It's actually kind of sad, bittersweet. But like all good things, you have to manage somehow to screw it up right before something important like that, right? So the car had the LED parking lights yesterday, and the passenger side had been flickering. Damien had pointed it out to me before. Didn't want to listen, and yesterday it completely quit. So I had somebody coming to look at the car today, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put the stock ones back on and just sell it with those. That way the guy has lights and doesn't need to work on it. But in the process of testing them out, I left the key in the ignition and killed the battery. So now I'm here charging this thing. I put a trickle charger on it this morning when I realized that I had left the keys in it. But it wasn't doing the trick. So I had to go borrow this thing. Do not fear, 87 is still here. I know progress has not been made, but I will get her done. I haven't even sold the car and I'm already kind of regretting it. Like I'm debating calling the guy and just letting him know, like, hey, don't bother coming. But at the same time, I just don't have time for two. And it's kind of nice to be able to cruise this one while this one's in pieces, but all that means is that I have less motivation to work on this one. And as you can tell, this one, it's a lot of work. So anyway, Buicks still here. And one of the things that we found whenever we were walking around the car was that the oil return was leaking on the turbo and a bunch of other little knickknacks here and there. Back to this and to the title of the video, which is to how to repair your oil return line. What I'm going to show you next is how to make the gasket and just a brief description of what's going on with the 86. But pretty much this is one of those things where I've tried to explain to people that have issues and they just end up buying a whole new return. But if you see this, if I, hold on a second, let me. If I set this flat in the surface and I move it, you see how you can see light right in the middle. So the centerpiece is lifted. So pretty much this is U-shaped. And this is the reason why you blow oil. And what ends up happening is that usually it starts on this side because this is the thin side on the turbo. Actually, hold on. I have my trusty TE65 or TE45A, and man, new counters and I don't have enough space. So anyway, so that helps. This helps explain this, and you'll understand this further. So this is the thin side, usually it's towards the compressor side, and I was testing out these two different shapes, which I'll explain later. But anyways, so this being twisted, this is the side that usually leaks. And the way that you're gonna fix this is by inserting two screwdrivers, one on this side, one on the other side. This is in the car. So you'll have one screwdriver in the back, one screwdriver in the front, or you can bend it down and then have them all in the front. But what you're gonna end up doing is pulling this apart, which is gonna make this straight, or it's gonna make the ears bend down, and it's gonna crown the center of the return. And I couldn't leave it alone, so I have to fix it. And I'm trying to make one of these gaskets. The one that was on there was over torqued, so it was completely flat and it was leaking. Also, the face of the return line was kind of bowed. If you look at this one, actually, this one's bowed too. You can actually see it right in the middle. They fold that way. So the way I fix them is to put screwdrivers in each one of the holes with it in the car. They're long enough that I can just pull them out that way, and that way it folds these ears back and makes this straight again. But anyways, so just like this one, that one has the same issue. So what I'm doing here is that I'm gonna make a new gasket. I've already straightened it with the screwdrivers like I told you. And now I'm trying to see which design fits best. So I don't know if you can see that, but I pressed this on the bottom of the turbo. And you can see the opening on the bottom of the turbo. Also, you can see that on this side is very thin. Well, actually, you can't see it on the camera. But you can tell that the bottom of the, I don't know, whatever, the boss of the return on the turbo side is very thin. So what I'm trying to do here now is debate whether I should go with the shape of the turbo or the shape of the return. Whichever one has most material on that side is going to be the one that I'm going to go with. And by the way, both of these are cut out and fitted to a screw, so that's why it's got the marking. So as long as the sides fit the same, we shall be good. And I'm sweating all over my phone, which is making this thing locked over here. All right, there we go. So anyway, it looks like I'm gonna end up cutting out the turbo shape because pretty much the way that it looks right now, that's only gonna leave about a 16th of an inch on that side on this one. So pretty much it'll be a 16th of an inch compressed. The rest of it will be hanging out the side of the turbo. And yeah, so we're gonna end up using this one. And what I'm gonna do now is just cut it, fit it, put some oil on the return, and then put this on, see how it looks, see the witness mark. And if I'm happy with it, I'll put this one on there with some, with a thin layer of copper RTV. Now, there you go. Now, whenever you do this, you gotta make sure, like, you probably noticed that I kind of angled the screwdrivers this way. The whole point of that was so I wasn't piercing into the return line. And another way that you can get around that, like if you have a bunch of stuff here, like your certain wastegate or something like that, the other thing you can do is use the thicker Phillips heads, and you can just stick the tip in there and do the same thing. Anyway, it's 2 days later. After I finished the car, I called it a night the other day, and then just took it for a ride yesterday. And it's not leaking. So I'm gonna say that it was a successful fix. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe, hit the like button.